Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Minister, for taking this question this afternoon. A well-intentioned local solicitor has opted to raise concerns with me regarding the appointment or assignment of guardian ad litems. Guardians ad litem are typically, but not necessarily, legal people, either barristers or solicitors, and are appointed by judges to represent the interests of children in care. Their key functions are to ascertain the views of children who are the subject of care proceedings and to advise the court of these views, as well as giving their considered views on what is in the best interest of the child. Many in the House will remember there was a flurry of interest and concern about the appointment of what are colloquially known as GALs in 2017, and it did feature at PAC and likely precipitated the Child Care Amendment Act 2022, which provided for reform of the guardians ad litem system. I have sought details of the cost of assignment of GALs via PQ, but to date have only been furnished with the cost for barristers alone and not solicitors and any other individuals. In 2022, 30 barristers were assigned guardian ad litem appointments at a cost of $636,000, or an average cost of $20,000. Last year it was 40 barristers, total cost $946,000, average cost $23,600. That's a significant increase year on year, and of course I haven't been furnished with the requested costs for solicitors. Of course, we can put no price on the well-being and security of any child, but that well-being and that security shouldn't come doused in profiteering. By way of example, it would be helpful to revert to my local solicitor who has voiced understandable concerns. This solicitor was assigned as a GAL by the District Court judge in a case where a 12-year-old child was being taken into care because of experiencing neglect and possible abuse in the home. The practice of appointing GALs is generally positive, but there are concerns that the 2022 legislation hasn't delivered on the promised transparency in terms of cost. This child would already have had a team of social workers attending to the matter, ensuring its welfare and also providing support, education and development for the mother. It's indeed questionable if there was a need for the appointment of a separate guardian ad litem in this case. Nonetheless, the solicitor was assigned in mid-2022 and provided representation for approximately 16 months, and until such time as that child was discharged from his care with the establishment of a full-time care order earlier this year. In total, the solicitor attended district court on nine occasions and ultimately submitted a bill to the HSE for €6,000 plus VAT, or an average bill of €666 for each of those 9 brief court appearances. On the day that Tusla made an application for a full care order, a barrister also attended and issued a bill for $1,600 plus VAT for that 1 court appearance. Without question, Minister, there are circumstances where a guardian ad litem is needed, and it is no doubt beneficial for the child and family. But the practice has to be regulated, and the cost of the assignment, such as the one outlined here, needs to be examined. The example given is just one of many available nationwide. Worryingly, Tusla are unable to give a county-by-county breakdown either for the cost of GALs and foot of my PQ. And my question here today, Minister, is are you satisfied that the 2022 legislation is adequately and effectively regulating the assignment and the cost of guardians ad litem?
I would like to thank Deputy Flaherty for raising this important issue and for offering me the opportunity to respond on behalf of Minister Roderick O'Gorman. I hope the script I have might answer some of the questions you raised. The unregulated nature of the provision of guardian ad litem services has been a matter of concern for some time. Currently, guardian ad litems, or GALs, are appointed by the court for children who are subject of childcare proceedings under the Childcare Act 1991. The GAL has an important role in that they are required to ascertain the views of the child and communicate them to the court. They are also required to make recommendations to the court as to what is the best interests of the child. This is an important role which gives a voice to vulnerable children during care proceedings. However, the current system of GAL appointments and the related appointment of solicitors and barrister to represent guardian ad litems is unregulated and is ad hoc. The existing legislative provisions do not set out the criteria for appointment guardian ad litems or legal representation to a GAL. Tusla is obliged to pay GALs and their legal fees, but have little oversight of how these roles are fulfilled. Currently, all GALs operating in the courts are self-employed individuals with many supported through a network arrangement in relevant organisations. In the current system, many children do not benefit from GAL support during their court proceedings. The main purpose of the Child Care Amendment Act 2022, which provides for the reform of the Guardian ad litem system, is to enable the establishment of an executive office and with that a national GAL service within the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth. Reform of the current model of GAL provision, which will be driven by the commencement of this legislation, is intended to ensure universal access to a GAL for all children, so that their voices can be heard in childcare proceedings and to provide a high-quality service that is sustainable into the future. It is planned to move towards a largely salaried staff supplement by a panel as required. Under the 2022 Act, GALs are not party to proceedings and thus the provision of legal representation will be a decision of the new national service. The new service will have its own in-house legal services and as such a guardian ad litem will have access to legal advice and representation when needed. Where a GAL is subject to special care cases, they will have an automatic entitlement to legal advice and representation. Where a GAL is appointed in proceedings before the District Court, they will have an automatic entitlement to legal advice, whereas legal representation will be discretionary, subject to the child's best interests. The in-house legal team will be salary staff of the service, supplemented by a panel of solicitors and barristers. This will provide a clear fee structure for legal representation. The Department is continuing to work towards the establishment of the Guardian ad litem National Service to enable the full commencement of the Child Care Amendment Act 2022. To assist these preparations, consultant Anthony Douglas CBE was contracted by the Department in September of last year. The outputs of this consultancy will provide the operating model, practice manuals and workforce strategy for the new service. The development of these documents has involved significant engagement with relevant stakeholders to encourage their continued input into the shaping of the new service.
Thank you very much. And the response from Minister O'Gorman is perhaps somewhat alarming. And it's probably when we hear the existing legislation provisions do not set out the criteria for the appointment of GALs or legal representation to a GAL. Tusla is obliged to pay GALs and their legal fees, but have little oversight over how these roles are fulfilled. Currently, all GALs operating in the courts are self-employed individuals with many supported through a network of arrangements in relevant organisations. In the current system, many children do not benefit from GAL support during their court proceedings. Obviously, when the Child Care Amendment Act in 2022 was passed, we understood that many of those issues that I would have spoken about were to be addressed. It's very evident and very clear, and indeed it's somewhat disturbing that this isn't the case, Minister. Part of that legislation provided for a transitionary period in the first year of operation of the new Executive Office to provide for a seamless transition from the current system to a new model of provision. And yet the Minister is telling us today that the Department is continuing to work towards the establishment of the Guardian ad litem National Service to enable the full commencement of the Child Care Amendment Act 2022. The response today is deeply troubling, doesn't give me any reassurance, and I think there's an onus on us to refer this certainly to PAC and to the Comptroller Auditor General, because it is clear, based on the inadequate PQs that were delivered to me by Tusla, but also from the Minister's reply here today, that we have little, if any, oversight over the operation of this scheme, and we certainly have no indication as to the true scale of the cost in this case.
Deputy, I think you've raised a really important issue here today. The Department is continuing to work towards the establishment of the Guardian ad litem National Service to enable the full commencement of the Act. As I said, consultant Anthony Douglas CBE was contracted to support preparation for the establishment of the GAL National Service. The outputs from this consultancy includes developing the operating model, practice manuals and workforce plans for the service, including a transition plan to facilitate the building of the new service. Building on extensive previous consultation which informed the development of the legislation, Mr Douglas has met with a variety of relevant stakeholders such as GALS, senior management in Tusla and members of the judiciary to encourage their continued input into shaping of the service. Under the November 22 Family Justice Strategy, the CD committed to establishing a working group to decide the most suitable future institutional location for the GAL service and to prepare for the opening of the Guardian at Litem office. This group has been convened and will continue to meet to progress this work. The Department has received approval from the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform for the director post in the service. It is anticipated the role will be advertised over the coming weeks. There will be further engagement for additional staff over 2024. So I would like to reiterate that the unregulated nature of the provision of Guardian ad litem service remains a concern for the Department, but I am pleased to confirm significant progress has been made to address the issue as I've outlined, and I've no doubt, Deputy, you will keep a firm eye on this to make sure it progresses as quickly as possible.